Thank you for clicking on this video, and just a quick heads up viewer, what you're about to see is parts 1 and 2 of what I've uploaded onto my TikTok channel, Old Blue Jimny. If you enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, and potentially check out my TikTok channel. Thank you for listening to this short disclaimer, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, last year, that's about 50 in TikTok years, I packed up my Old Blue Jimny and set off for Scotland. I decided, some months prior to my departure, that I would embark on one of the most picturesque road trips in the UK. One of the northernmost road trips this island has to offer. After slapping a crude plan together, we were off, heading north to tackle the North Coast 500. Until, on the second day, we hit our first snag. We were still travelling the 500 miles north. In fact, we had just crossed over into Scotland. And as the blue box-like body of Jim scooted past Gretna on some B-roads, a non-ignorable orange light lit up on the dash. This promptly dulled the mood. After some deliberating at the local service station, we decided to return to Carlisle and call Mr. AA Man. Surprisingly, by the grace of the gods, his yellow and black van pulled up alongside us in a record-breaking 50 minutes. He plugged in his diagnostic tool and delivered the unfortunate news. Jimbo's secondary Lambda was shot. Before I could ask the obvious question of the master mechanic, he removed the fault code, belched out he didn't have the right tool for the job, and promptly cleared off. And, in retrospect, I don't blame him, because it was an absolute cock to remove. But the dash was clear, and we pushed on. Now, back to what's unfolding before your eyes. In the end, after rolling around on the ground for, I will admit, was far longer than I should have been, I decided to just remove the catalytic converter in a civilized manner, with things like spanners and WD-40. Not with that, put it down. Wrong disc anyway. After removing the front two bolts and rear two bolts that hold this section of the exhaust on, with my trusty old Rolson adjustable wrench helping me every step of the way, I was finally able to free myself from the driveway's cold embrace. With that thing off, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to implore anyone who is going to remove the cat from their vehicle to not start their engine without it. You see, the catalytic converter filters the exhaust fumes and helps to protect the environment, so really, it's for your own safety. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to like and follow for part 2, when I'll be trying to remove this buggering thing. This is part 2 of the secondary Lambda debacle. As I mentioned in part 1, the journey north to Inverness was rather troublesome. Momentarily, we wallowed in doubt of Jim's reliability, but soon we knew the cause of his check engine light, and once the fault was cleared from the system, I made the executive decision that we should carry on, but not before vowing that if the light did return, we'd scupper the whole trip and retreat back to whence we came. Eventually, we made it to Inverness, though slightly later than anticipated, day 3, and were finally on the NC 500, until, as we toured the twilight road that skirts the docile and green-flanked Loch Moray, a familiarly orange glow returned. In silent despair, I stared on at the gloomy road ahead. We weren't far from that day's stop, and so I made another executive decision: to ignore that grisly glow. Now, back to what's unfolding before your eyes. At first, I figured with the extra leverage and stability, I'd keep trying with the purposefully designed socket. My primate brain even went as far as suggesting cable ties to prevent the socket from slipping. And I still managed to round over the sensor head. So, in a fit of pan-troglodyte rage, I set upon it with the tool of the yobbo. After that, I set a fixed rotary speed on it, and ground 2 new faces for my trusty old Rolson to grab hold of. With a sizzling squirt of WD-40 and one very serious knee up on the workbench, I set my unbridled monkey strength on it. Surprisingly, it came away in one piece. Now, I'm not sure what a slight vibratory bludgeoning does to a catalytic inverter, but at least I got the faulty sensor out. With the new one in, it was time to put this section of the exhaust back in Jim. I pretty much did the reverse of what you saw in part 1, until, when trying to replace one of the 2 front bolts, I ran into an issue. The threads wouldn't thread. In vain, I gave the bolt a clean, but still, it was far too corroded to use. Slightly annoyed, I found a replacement on the internet, waited a couple of days, and finally finished the job. As for our trip along the NC 500, that didn't stop because of a flimsy check engine light, and it too tagged along with us until the end of the journey, some 1,000 miles later. Thank you for watching, and please be sure to like and follow for more Jimny related videos. And join me next time when I attempt to change Jimbo's buggered radiator.